here. We're on Nun Testament Bays, 4 lines into the wide lines. With an argument, Reish Lakish had said that loss of dibur and batal dibur, that if a man marries a woman, that it should take place in 30 days, or a woman says, I will be agreeable to be married to you in 30 days, she cannot retract. She cannot retract. If she appoints a shliach, she appoints an agent to marry to a certain man, and before the agent executes his agency, she changes her mind. Rabbi Yochanan says she has a right to change her mind, because it's only words. Words could what? Could nullify words. Rabbi Yochanan says, Reish Lakish says words cannot nullify words. The Gemara refutes Reish Lakish, and therefore, and we rule like Rabbi Yochanan. So the Gemara says not only rule like Rabbi Yochanan in the case where she appoints an agent to represent her in marriage, but even in the other case where he gives her money, that the marriage should take effect in 30 days, and before it takes effect, he wants to retract. Rabbi Yochanan says in that case he can retract. Reish Lakish says he cannot retract. We rule like Rabbi Yochanan even in that case, although we cited a case of get to refute the second case, and we didn't have a basis to refute the first case. Nevertheless, we rule like Rabbi Yochanan in both cases. Whether an action was done, an action was not done, we rule like Rabbi Yochanan, osi dibur batal dibur, that he could retract. Just reviewing a little bit. Yaakov, you with us, or you're not in touch with us? What? I see that. It says, you know, the difference between a malach and a person. A person can do 2 things simultaneously. I see that. Okay. Doesn't mean you can understand 2 things, but you can do 2 things. Okay. I know that. Okay. Okay, just let's review it because it's important over here. The last case, second version, Machlokes Rabbi Yochanan Reish Lakish. A woman says to a man or to a woman, I want you to accept marriage on my behalf from so-and-so. Before that person accepts marriage from so-and-so, on behalf of the woman says, I cancel the agency. I don't want her to represent me. Rabbi Yochanan says she can cancel the agency. Because how did the person become an agent? Verbal designation. Rabbi Yochanan says, osi dibur batal dibur. You could cancel the agency. Reish Lakish says you cannot. So the Gemara goes and cites a Mishnah which refutes Reish Lakish. A man appoints an agent to deliver a get. And then he goes and he meets up with the agent before the get is given to his wife, says, I cancel you. I don't want you to represent me. Or he sends another agent to inform the agent that he's canceled. The Mishnah says in Gittin, the agency is canceled. So what do we see from there? That you could cancel an agency. That as long as the agency hasn't been executed, you could cancel the agency. Gemara says Reish Lakish is refuted. Tiyufta Reish Lakish Tiyufta. Refuted. But we had another argument. There was another version of Machlokes Rabbi Yochanan Reish Lakish. A man gives a woman money. You're married to me, that the marriage take place in 30 days from now. Rabbi Yochanan says since the marriage hasn't yet taken place, although the marriage, the words were coupled with an action, but as long as the marriage hasn't yet taken place, he could cancel, he could change his mind. The husband could say, he could retract. And if when 30 days comes, the marriage is not a marriage. Reish Lakish says you cannot. Since he did an action and the dynamic was set in motion, he cannot retract. There, we don't find a refutation for Reish Lakish. Nevertheless, the Gemara says, although we don't find a refutation for Reish Lakish, we rule like Rabbi Yochanan that that's called osi dibur batal dibur. He could cancel it. In either case, they're both canceled. She could cancel her agent, and he's able to nullify his action, retract, since the action hasn't yet taken effect. Right? That's where we left off. Oh, that's more. That's more. Right. Okay. So the Gemara says we rule like Rabbi Yochanan. We're fourth line into the wide line. The Hilsa Kabosi the Rabbi Yochanan Afilu Kamaisa. We rule like Rabbi Yochanan, even according to the first version, the case of kiddushin, where he gives the woman money, then he rejects. Although you were able to differentiate between the second case and the first case, second case, she appointed a shliach, so there it's verbal versus verbal. There was no action done. I want you to represent me to accept kiddushin, and then she cancels the agent before the agent accepts the kiddushin on her behalf. The first case, he actually gave him money for kiddushin to take effect in 30 days. Afilu hochi, nevertheless, we rule like Rabbi Yochanan, osi dibur mvatal dibur, that the second words retract the first, and therefore the action is canceled. So now the Gemara asks a question. Kashi hilsa hilsa seems to be a contradiction. Halacha. Why? Amrit hilsa Rabbi Yochanan. You're telling me that we rule like Rabbi Yochanan, that what? That otzi dibur umvatal dibur, even where he actually did the act of kiddushin, as long as he cancels it before it takes effect. V'kaben hilsa Rabbi Nachman, and yet we rule like Rabbi Nachman. Who's Rabbi Nachman? Listen to this case. The boilu. Mao sheyasav yigarishbo. A man gives a shlicha get here, and he says, I want you to divorce my wife with the get. Then he cancels the shliach. Okay? He cancels the shliach. Now there's a question, after he cancels the shliach, could he use that get again to divorce his wife? The get originally was written properly. The sofa had he was appointed to write the get on behalf of this man, on behalf of his wife. All the information is accurate. It was written lishma. So the question is, and now he gives it to an agent, deliver it. Now he cancels the agent. After the agent is canceled, can you use that get at a later date to divorce, or do you say once the agent is canceled, the get is canceled? And if you want to divorce your wife, you have to write a new get. That's a date. It's machlokas. It's machlokas hamaroim. Rabbi Nachman says it's not canceled. Rabbi Nachman says it's not canceled. So Rabbi Nachman says, Rabbi Nachman amachozim megarishbo, you can use the get again. Rav Sheish sama eino chozim megarishbo. Reish Lakish says no, it cannot be canceled. Rav Sheish says the get cannot be used again.
Because words cannot cancel writing.
Exactly. So, and we rule like Rabbi Yochanan, like Rav Nachman, that he can use it again because words cannot cancel the action. So we have
Is it the action or is it the writing?
Same thing. Same thing. So the Gemara right now is equating the act of kiddushin with money. We say we rule like Rabbi Yochanan, when you give a woman money in kiddushin, that the marriage should take effect in 30 days. What do we say? He can retract. And we rule like Rav Nachman that when he gives the get to the agent, he cancels the agent, the get can be used again. Although Rav Shesha says the get cannot be used again. But seemingly when he canceled the agent, the get should have been canceled. Not coming to explain Rav Shesha that route. Let's just deal with the facts. Right? Rav Shesha says the get cannot be used. Rav Nachman says the get can be used. The Gemara right now is equating the get to the act of kiddushin, giving money. He gives money. We rule like Rabbi Yochanan that although the dynamic was set, the verbal cancellation cancels the act of kiddushin, makes it ineffective. So here also, canceling the agent should make the get ineffective. So it's a coach game. It's a coach game. V'kaimelon hilso kavat Rav Nachman. So that Gemara answers, need the batli mitor shaliach, mitor sketlo batli. That's the difference. Note, meaning when a person gives money for kiddushin, and so the dynamic has been set. When the man says, "I will not marry you," what is he doing? He's canceling the action. He says the effect of the action should not be. Over there, when he cancels the shliach, he's not saying the get shouldn't be a valid get. He's saying you should not represent me to deliver the get. Whether the get will be used, that's my decision. Right? So he's not affecting the get itself. The get was written lishma. He's not saying the get should become an ineffective get. The get is independent of the agent. Here he did an act of kiddushin, that the kiddushin, he doesn't want the kiddushin, and the dynamic was set in motion. If that dynamic continues, what happens? That means she's married in 30 days. He says, I'm canceling that. Right? That effect is canceled. Here he's not canceling the get. He's canceling the agency, the agent that he's not representing him to deliver the get. Therefore, what's the halacha? He can cancel him, so it's not a steer. It's not a contradiction. Okay. But it seems to be from the inference of the Gemara, it's because he's canceling the agent, but he's not canceling the get. But it seems, let's say he would say explicitly, I'm canceling the get. It seems to be he could. That's what the Gemara says. Although he's nullifying the agent, b'toras get lo batle, but he's not canceling the get. But if the inference would be, let's say he would want to cancel the get, he could cancel the get. So Tosas is going to cite a Gemara, according to Rav Nachman, that even if he wants to cancel the get, he cannot cancel the get. Because if it's written Lishma, how do you cancel the get? I mean, whatever criteria have to be met regarding the get, they were met. No. The inference is, according to Rav Nachman, it seems to be the intent when he cancels the shliach is to cancel the shliach, not the get. But if in fact he would be explicit, says, I'm canceling the get, even Rav Nachman would agree with Rav Sheshes that the get cannot be used. So the question, how does it work? Similarly, what you're asking Rav Sheshes, right? Rav Sheshes says the get cannot be used. Rabbi Yochanan says the get can be used. Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman says the only thing that's been canceled is the agent, the shliach, not the get. So let's see Tosas, bottom Tosas. B'toras get lo batle. He's canceling the agent, but he's not canceling the pirish. The mistama enim skabin levatel le shliach. Because the presumption is when he cancels the person, he's canceling the agency, but not the get itself. Ulafizeh. So Tosas says, according to the inference of the Gemara, im oma befeirush ani mevatel haget atzmo. If he would say explicitly, I'm canceling, I'm nullifying the get itself, shu bittul, uposel garishbo, it would be botel, and then even Reb Nachman would agree, where Rav Sheshes you couldn't use it. So what's the argument? When you cancel the shliach, are you canceling the get, or aren't you canceling it? Reb Nachman says you're not canceling the get. Rav Sheshes says you are canceling the get. Right? Seeming that's the machlokas. Uperka sholeach, goris gito gufe mikobotil. The Gemara says over there in Gittin, is the get nullified? Mashmash in a get mizbatel. Seems to be over there, regardless of what you say, you cannot nullify the get. From the Gemara over here, it seems to be you can nullify the get. From the Gemara in the Gittin, it seems to be, even if you say it explicitly, he wants the get to be nullified, cannot affect it. Tzorch leforish. Atosovish aget yochel ibotel, iposa bebitel. You mean to say, what it says over here, Torah's get lo batle means, do you think that you can nullify a get? Velohi, it's incorrect. Dareyu kemomos shen mizbatlos. Yeah, let's say a person would give money to a woman, say Rebbe Kadeshasli in 30 days. Now he cancels it. Now he wants to take that same money and use it for kiddushin. You can tell me the money cannot be used for kiddushin? You have to give shava kesef. Kesef or shava kesef. You can use the money again. If factually the get, when it was written, it met all the criteria of what a get is, it's, the information's correct. It was written lishmo, for her and for the husband. I mean, how do you cancel it? You can't change something if it's reality. It's reality. Yeah? Shein mizbatlos the miacha that get kosev kil choso. If the get was written, met all the halacha criteria, ein yochol levatlo. Vim yachzor, vim yirtze yachzor v'yigarishbo. And if he chooses to use the get again, he can use it. So the way Gemara is coming out, the way Tosas is showing from the Gemara in Gittin, that when Rav Nachman says he nullifies the agent and not the get, means he cannot nullify the get. Rav Nachman's of the opinion the get cannot be nullified. So what's the position of Rav Sheshes? Rav Sheshes says, factually, once he cancels the shliach, the get is nullified. How do we understand that? You know, there's a discussion in Bava Kama. Let's say you give wool to be dyed. Person owns wool, he gives to a dyer to dye the wool. And he tells the dyer, I want it to be dyed red. And he dyes it another color. So we rule the halacha, Hamesharim midas balabayis is gazlan. That the dyer, it's what is considered a thief. right? Why is he a thief? What Meisig Zela did he do? To be a thief, you have to do an act of stealing. He gave him wool. He says, put it in a vat of red dye. He puts it in a vat of yellow dye. So it says when he's Mishana, when he does differently than the intent of the one who would give it, who would commission him to dye it, he's a thief. Well, how is he a thief? No, even deliberately. Deliberate. Right? Mishana even could be inadvertent, deliberate. Either way, you're a thief. He's not at what? He's not meeting the instructions of the one who had given to him.
Since you made a mistake unintentionally, how is he?
If you take somebody's item unintentionally, you're a thief. Give you an example. You go to a place and you take somebody's coat, and you believe it's yours. Take somebody else's coat. You're a thief. No. No. What happens if I pick something up, belongs to someone else, to take for myself, and my intent when I take it is to destroy? You're a thief. You take a sledgehammer and smash the car, then you're a mazik. Because you never did a kinyan, because you never acquired it. So you're a mazik. You're a damager. Because to be a thief, you have to acquire it. You're only a thief if it entered into your domain.
Somebody gives you something. I go to a store and I ask someone to fix something. They acquired it, or they have possession of it on my behalf in order to fix it.
Good question. Good. You're right. 100%. 100%. So that's my question. So over here, in what way did he acquire it to become a thief? That's my question. That's exactly what I'm asking. Right, I give you the wool. You took the wool as my agent, so to say, to dye one color. I choose to dye it another color. Even though my intent was positive, because I thought it's in your best interest. You'll do better with the other color. Yet, the Gemara says, Meshanim das balvais gaslin. So how do we understand it? So the way I understood it is this. It seems to be from Tosas. When originally he took it, when the balabais had given the wool to the person to dye, what was the intent? I'm only giving it to you to enter your domain if you're representing me. If you're taking it not to carry out my intent, then you have no right to take it. See, he took it. He did an act. He did an act of taking. An act of taking is an act of acquisition. That's an act. If you're acting on my behalf, then fine. Then you're acting on my behalf. If you're not acting on my behalf, then my giving to you is what? You have no right to take it. So therefore, the taking is considered an act of theft. Doesn't make a difference. Doesn't make a difference. But retroactive, it's been revealed, but it's all dependent about the intent of the giver, of the one who owned it. When I gave it to you, my intent was one intent. It's only this way, otherwise you have no right to take it from me. Unless you carry out my instructions, you have no right to take it. So now, when a get is given, a get is written by a sofer. It has to be directly based on the instruction of the husband. I want you to write a get on my behalf. Myself, my wife, and the sofer has intent for the husband and for the wife. He cancels it. You have to say Rav Sheshes must hold. So I mean, Reb Nachman rationally is correct. Factually, once the get is written correctly, how do you invalidate it? You have to say that the das of the balabayis, the das of the husband is that it's only considered written correctly if I use the get. If I don't want to use the get, then you're not my agent. You're not my agent to write the get. You only have my agent representing me to write the get if the get is going to be used. But if I should cancel the get, retroactively, that reveals that I never want you to represent me to write the get. I mean, it's difficult. But why? In terms of instructing you to dye one color, I understand. I want it to be done the way I want it. I don't want it to be done differently. But why, if he cancels the agent, why should he want to cancel the get? Why should Rav Sheshes says that should be his intent? We're only working out how to nullify the get, but why should we say that's his das? Why should that be the intent of the... let it be already. If he should want to use it. Okay, not coming to explain Rav Sheshes. Okay, let's go further. of course. It's nothing.
And then it's being delivered.
No, of course, it's understood. It's nothing. It's nothing. Look, you didn't carry out what I appointed you to do. It's understood. It's nothing. That's nothing.
So the wife could just refute
No, the get's not valid. She doesn't have to refute it. The get, when it's delivered, has to be a valid get. Otherwise, it's meaningless. Okay.
The wife may not know it.
It's okay. So you could have a problem. But after, when it's revealed the get is not a correct get, it's nothing. Okay. The Mishnah says a man marries a woman. He gives her money. You're married to me in 30 days. And subsequently she goes and she accepts a marriage from another person. So the Mishnah says she's Mekudeshes L'Sheni. She's married to the second one, not to the first one. Because she accepted the marriage before the 30-day period came. Mekudeshes L'Sheni. Omer Rav. So Rav says Mekudeshes L'Sheni L'Olam. When she's married, let's say 3 days after the first person had given the money for kiddushin, take effect in 30 days, 3 days later she accepts kiddushin from the second party. So after she accepts the marriage from the second party, Rav says she's married to the second person forever. Even when the 30-day period comes, the first marriage doesn't take place. Because why? Because it's taking effect. When it takes effect, she's already a married woman. That's Rav. Shmuel Amar B'Gudeshet L'Sheni. Ad Lamed Yom. Hear this? Shmuel says she's married to the second person up to the 30th day. Lachan Lamed Paki Kedushi Sheni. The second Kedushin is revoked. The Gamri Kedushi Rishon. Mean it can't go beyond that. You can. Same thing, because she's not divorced. Torah only prohibits a divorcee. She's not a divorcee. No, Paki means it's revoked. Revoked means you can't marry a married woman. Since the dynamic to be married in 30 days was already in place to take effect in 30 days, so when the 30-day period comes, it's as if she's already been married on the 30th, on that 30th date. It was a 30-day marriage. Because she can only marry a single woman. She was already married on the 30-day period. We're calling it something else. We'll discuss this. Exactly this point we're going to discuss right now. Okay? 1 second. Okay. Okay, let's talk a little bit. We talk about time sharing, right?
Time sharing.
No, real estate, time sharing real estate, right? I own something, totally own it. Now I sell different periods of time when the property is owned by other parties. I'm selling the month of December to you, right? For a certain amount of money. And the person write a deed and I sell it. Right now it's September. In December, now September, does the person who purchased December, does he own the piece of property for December? Now. He owns it now. He owns it now for December. Correct? Why? Because when I own something, I own it for 12 months a year, forever. As long as the property is my possession. I'm selling off pieces of my ownership. So I'm selling for December. And any month I sell off to whoever I purchase it, he owns it now for that particular period of time. Right? That's understood. The person, he married the woman that the marriage should take effect in 30 days. And she agreed. So Shmuel is saying she is married now in 30 days. That's the way Shmuel understands it. But the Gemara is going to say it's impossible. Wait. I'm equating it. It's interesting. There's a Rameir Simcha, he cites Yerushalmi. The halacha is that what happens if a person is magdish an orchard or a vineyard, and now Shemitah comes, right? Are you permitted to pick the fruit? Shemitah, Torah says when Shemitah comes, all the produce is hefker, is ownerless. Person goes and he's magdish, he consecrates an orchard, a vineyard, and Shemitah comes. Are people permitted to pick the fruit of that orchard that a person initially was magdish? What would you say? Belongs to Hegdish. The Yerushalmi says you're permitted to pick the fruit. So Rabbi Yisrael says, how do we understand it? So he says because the Yerushalmi understands, the Torah says when you own a piece of property, you only own it for 6 years. The 7th year you never own it. You can't consecrate more than you have. So 6 years you consecrated, the 7th year was never consecrated. Because you can't consecrate something that's not yours. Let's say a person owned a property, he has a partner. 6 years it's mine, the 7th year it's yours. And he consecrates his portion. How much of the land is consecrated? How much of the property? 6 years worth. Not the 7th year. The Torah says the 7th year is not yours. So if the 7th year is not yours, his act of consecration didn't affect the 7th year. Therefore, you have a right. The produce of the 7th year is not Hegdish because it was never consecrated. You follow?
I understand what you're saying.
Okay?
So you're magdish the produce.
No, you magdish the land. I'm magdish my property.
Right.
How much of the vineyard is mine? 6 years. The 7th year was never yours. So you can't consecrate something that's not yours.
But doesn't that come back into
Forget about the Yovel. I own something. It's something which has been mine. It's been mine. The Torah says when I came into Eretz Yisrael, it's been the family since we divided up Eretz Yisrael. But the Torah says initially, the 7th year, it's not yours. So if the 7th, what?
It's a question because it's like that.
Correct. Correct. Well, normally if it's in your possession, the 7th year, people come in and they take the produce. So the produce is what? They have a right to take it. It's ownerless. So the question is, what about the produce of Hegdish? The 7th year, is it Hegdish produce or is it ownerless produce? So the Yerushalmi says that you have a right to take the produce of Hegdish. But the question is Hegdish, but how did it become Hegdish? Because somebody consecrated, but you can't consecrate something that's not yours. Torah says it's not yours to consecrate for the 7th year.
It's yours. You're just limited in what you can do with it.
That means you never had a right to consecrate it. It was not yours. The Torah says the produce of the land belongs to other people. You never had a right to consecrate it. Right? I'm just saying, this is very simple to learn. So therefore, it's the same thing. So a man says, I'm marrying the woman to be mine in 30 days. She'll be married to me in 30 days. So he understands now she's married in 30 days. Now she's married in 30 days. So now Mr. 2 comes, and he marries the woman now, forever. But you can't marry forever, because she already gave herself in marriage from 30 days going forward forever. So what happens when 30 days comes? The marriage, the second marriage, can't go beyond 30 days, because beyond 30 days she's a married woman. So therefore what happens? The marriage is revoked. I mean, the Gemara is going to say it's impossible. You don't equate a person to a piece of property. It's not ownership. When a man marries a woman, there's an ownership. She's giving herself over like an object. It's not an object. No, it's not the
Also,
same.
Mr. 2, is he aware that at the end of 30 days he's off the mikvah?
Doesn't make a difference what he's aware of. Doesn't make. Let's say he is aware, not aware. It doesn't make a difference. Shmuel says when 30 days comes, it's revoked. Let's see it inside. Omer Rav Mukadeshes l'sheni lo'olam. Shmuel says Rav says once this number 2 marries her, she's married to number 2 forever. And the first marriage never takes place. Shmuel Mukadeshes l'sheni ad lamed yom. Lach lamed yom paki kedushi sheni. V'gamri kedushi rishon. The second marriage is revoked, and the second marriage is completed. Yosef Rav Chisda. So Rav Chisda goes and he contemplates this. And he asks the question, Kedushi Sheni but my Paki? I mean, how does the second marriage, how is it revoked? Right? Once it takes effect, she's married to number 2. So she's married to number 2. How does number 1, how does he marry her? Meaning, because he's explaining, it's not like a piece of property that it's now. I'll give you an example. The Rosh says in Sukkah, to be Yotzi and Esrog, the Esrog has to be totally yours. Let's say I give a person an Esrog, not a Matav, I'm Slavs here. Said the Esrog is yours for 30 days. I have an Esrog, I say to her, it's yours for 30 days. Are you Yotzi with the Esrog? The Rush says in Lulav HaGozl, you're not Yotze. Why? Because an esrog which is owned by more than one person, you're not Yotze. Because if I say you own it for 30 days, at this point, beyond 30 days, who owns this esrog? It's a timeshare. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what the Rush says. When you own the esrog, the Dal Minim, they have to be totally yours. So even though you may own it from now for 30 days, but presently, who owns it beyond 30 days? That other party. So if that's the case, it doesn't fully belong to one person. No comparison. No comparison. Matanah Mitzlach says it's yours forever on the condition you give it back. No. It's mine forever on the condition you give it back to me. So as long as I have it, it's mine forever. But if you don't give it back, then initially it was never given to you. Right? It's simple. Andrew, you with me? No, it would be good. It's you. I'm giving you a matona, I'm naslachse, but you have 30 days to give it back. And if you don't meet that condition, it was never yours. Not it's yours for. He's not saying it's yours for 30 days. I'm giving you a gift, but you must give it back to me within 30 days. If not, then it was never yours. Whatever the reason is. Kasha v'maisa, why? That's matona, I'm naslachse. Today, Alex is a little better at the office. Okay. So Yosef Rav Chisda v'kashle kiddushin sheni b'maypaki. Rav Chisda asks on Shmuel, how could he say that the second marriage is revoked at 30 days? What caused it to be revoked? Meaning, you cannot compare a woman to a woman's not an object. We have ownership in the woman. There's a famous question the Rashba asks on Daf Gimel. It says we learn Kicha Misteyafron, that a woman is married similar to, just as Avram Avinu, he purchased the property with money, so you can marry a woman with money. So the Rashba asks, if we're learning Kicha Misteyafron, just as you're able to acquire a piece of property with a chazokah, right? You should be able to acquire a woman with chazokah. It's the Rashba's question. No, whatever. I mean, she has to be agreeable. We had a chazokah, whatever chazokah is. A person takes your clothing to the bathhouse, like that's the way you acquire a slave, right? That's a chazokah. Or the slave picks up the master. That's a chazokah. So whatever chazokah would be, which would be an indication demonstrating ownership over the woman, you should acquire her. So the Rashba says, chazokah is you own a woman's not an object. The Gzeres HaKosav is just, not that a woman's a piece of property. Just as you're able to acquire, as Avram Avinu acquired the property with money, you're able to marry a woman with money. Not the woman is an object. An asset like the property is an asset. Because you're not acquiring the woman. It's a means of how to bring about marriage. That's the Rashba's answer. Right? So it's not you own, there's no ownership in the woman. So therefore we can't talk about time sharing, we got a person. So that's Rav Chisda's question. If the second marriage took effect, what causes it to be revoked? Omali Rav Yosef, Mar Aresha Masilo V'Kashalei. He says, Rav Yosef says, because you understood the machlokes, Rav and Shmuel was said regarding the first case of the Mishnah, therefore you have difficulty. And the difficulty is legitimate difficulty. This is what he says to Rav Chisda. Rav Yehuda Sefer Masilo. Rav Yehuda had learned the machlokes Rav Shmuel was going in the last case. What's the last case? A man marries a woman, he gives her money, he says, after 30 days, the marriage should be retroactive. In the interim, before the 30-day period comes, a third party goes and marries her. So of course, when 30 days comes, if factually it's retroactive, the second marriage means nothing. But, right? So if the words mean you're married now, when 30 days come. When 30 days comes, retroactively, the marriage is a marriage. What? Retroactively, she's an Eshes Ish from day one. From day one, she'll be an Eshes. No, Kasha V'Maisa. Man married her. No, he didn't have relations. He didn't have relations with her. Difference. Let's say he would die. Let's say he says ma'achshav v'alach sholshim yom, and the man dies. The man doesn't live till the 30th day. I'm marrying you now, but it's only retroactive when 30 days come. And 30 days, the man dies. The man's not alive when 30 days come. Is the marriage retroactive? Rashi says the marriage is not retroactive. It's, if he's here in 30 days, then the marriage is retroactive from day one. But if the man's not alive in 30 days, then it's not retroactive.
She becomes his widow.
No, she's not a widow. It was never a marriage. It was never a marriage. If I'm alive in 30 days, then the marriage is retroactive from now. I mean, the differences. I mean, does she fall to Yibum, right? If it's retroactive, even if he's not alive, then what? Then she falls to Yibum if he had no children, right? She's a widow. But if it's nothing, then she's not. She's a single woman. In that case, the second marriage would take effect, right? Because the first marriage was never retroactive, because he wasn't alive when the 30-day period happened. We'll continue tomorrow.